Now for our feature story of the day, the Giga Chad Michael Saylor projects Bitcoin smashing $45 million per coin. And as a bonus, I also have a $100 million price prediction, which is officially the largest Michael Saylor Bitcoin price prediction ever shared. And here's some math. By the time one Satoshi is valued at $1 US, that will equal a $100 million Bitcoin price, as one Bitcoin could be divided by 100 million sats. So stack them sats accordingly. And let's break down the latest. This headline reads 45 million by 2045. That's the kicker. Obviously, we're not going to 45 million tomorrow or this cycle. Sorry to break the news to you, but to even hit 45 million by the year 2045 in 20 years, pretty freaking impressive, and especially considering Michael Saylor believes it'll happen. So before we even read this article, I'm going to share with you some previous predictions that the Giga Chad has made. This one he made with Patrick Bet-David on the Valuetainment podcast. I remember when he did it because I actually shared it here. This was back on November 18th of 2023. Got 136,000 views, 965 hearts, 264 reposts. Not too shabby. And this is the most bullish prediction I ever heard come out of Michael Saylor's mouth, and I encourage you to listen to it. I already reposted it, so it's towards the top of my X profile, and I'm quoting the Giga Chad word for word verbatim. Bitcoin is on a path to be worth $100 million, which means that the US dollar will have lost 99.9% of its value over 100 years. Warren Buffett knows this. Charlie Munger knows this. And obviously, this was right before Charlie Munger ascended to a different dimension, or descended to a lower dimension. We really don't know. I don't want to speculate there. But very powerful words coming from Saylor. Ultimately, Patrick Bet-David said, yo, Michael, where do you see Bitcoin going? And he's like, well, it's going to $100 million. And Patrick Bet-David's face was priceless, the expression. But yeah. And another prediction I'm going to read out loud. And again, this is me quoting the Saylor verbatim. This was a clip I shared December 2nd of 2023. It was being interviewed. 142,000 views, 986 hearts, 234 reposts, and quoting him here, Bitcoin is about to 425x. Here's why. New Michael Saylor prediction. Because Bitcoin is just pure money. It's just as effective at 100,000 a coin as 10,000 a coin. And at $1 million a coin, it's just as effective. And at 10 million a coin is probably more compelling at 10 million a coin than $1 million or 100,000 a coin, which ultimately means the more expensive Bitcoin gets, the more compelling it is to pick some up. That's just the nature of the human being. We all love to buy the tops. Ain't that true? How many of your family members hit you up when Bitcoin's in price discovery mode? How do I get one of those things? And you can tell them about Bitcoin when there's the greatest discount, like during COVID, when Bitcoin crashed to freaking 3,000 a coin. No one's interested. Oh, it's going to go to zero. Oh, it's just the nature of humanity. But anyways, back to Saylor. It's kind of a universally scalable asset that gets less risky. The only thing that's going to change, in my opinion, is when it was super risky and scary, below 10 G's, you were getting 100 to 200% a year annualized gains. And then it got a bit more understandable between 10,000 and 100,000 per coin, precisely where we're currently at. Your gains go to 40 or 50% a year. And then at some point they go to 30% and then 20%. And in extreme, if everybody in the world understood Bitcoin, it'd be 20, 30, 40% of the wealth of the world. And at the time he made this prediction, he says, it would be $200 to $300 trillion in today's dollars. And I think that's underestimating the true total addressable market. I've heard projections it could be 7, 8, 900 trillion dollars. And I think after a trillion, I'm speculating is a quadrillion, but you never know. But even just based off 200 to 300 trillion and tapping into 20 to 40% of the wealth of the world, that's how we get to these impressive numbers. So continuing here, then the price would be appreciating at the rate of global inflation and fiat currency. So if the gold inflation rate remains a 7, it would remain at a 7, and then it would appreciate a little bit more because of the productivity of the people that adopt it as a treasury reserve asset. And you already know what's coming down the pipeline. One more quote before we dive deeper into the story. Bitcoin is an asset class that is a major revolution. If Fidelity and BlackRock and if 10 other ETF issuers all agree, in which they already have, that Bitcoin is an asset class, it should be 10x to 100x bigger than it is right now. And at the time he made this prediction, let's speculate the Bitcoin market cap was probably roughly $1 trillion. dollars. I mean, today it's only 1.2 trillion. So 100x bigger, we're talking about $100 trillion market cap, which would be right in alignment with this previous prediction of Bitcoin tackling, 20, 30, 40% of the wealth in the world. And that could eventually take us to 100 million per coin. Let me know if you agree, disagree, and I'll read those comments out loud. But I want to dive a little deeper into the story. As mentioned earlier, Saylor is confident that Bitcoin could one day be worth 45 million. He doesn't see Bitcoin as just another asset, but as something much more significant. Preach! He described Bitcoin as a piece of cyberspace. You get to own it, where people will store their wealth in the future. And according to Saylor, Bitcoin will act as a kind of digital real estate, offering a safe place for companies and individuals to protect their funds, especially during times of inflation, aka times like now, economic trouble. You can say that again. So do you own a piece of cyberspace? Let me know. Nothing better than this digital real estate family. So yeah, golden cross on a technical indicator that might support Saylor's 45 million prediction is the recent golden cross for the biddy. This pattern shows up when Bitcoin's 50-day moving average rises above 200-day moving average, which is often seen as a sign it can be set for the further increases in the past. A golden cross has often led to a big price jump. And as Bitcoin Archive points out here, Bitcoin is about to make a golden cross 50-week over the 200-week. And sometimes we get these golden crosses and the price action goes parabolic. And while 45 million may seem far off, this golden cross suggests that Bitcoin has the potential for more growth in the future. It could be the signal of the start of the longer upward movement, bringing Bitcoin closer to some of these higher price targets. But then again, let me know if you feel Michael Saylor's bullishness will come into fruition. And if it's how would that impact your life, family? Stack sats accordingly, and welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream. I'm going to do my best to read as many of the comments out loud during this session, and then we'll switch it out to the uncensored extended version of the pod. Let's freaking go.